Thank you for tuning into the Canada Startups video series. In today's video, we will be going over why financial statements within your business plan are so crucial when you are starting a business in Canada. No matter if you are starting from scratch, trying to expand your business, or buy into a new business, your ultimate goal should be to prepare financial statements in order to determine your potential, any risks involved, as well to see if you fall short anywhere in between. Most small business owners create financial statements to visualize their revenue, expenses, and to determine if they will require additional capital, and to plan ahead for it. So let's take some time together today and see the importance of financial statements and their impact on your success. As an entrepreneur, many of us just want to get down to business and simply start up. The business plan, financial statements, a pitch deck, and all of those supporting documents often seem like a waste of time, as what you really want to do is get into it and make some money. But they are crucial to your success, and just as much as your business needs your time dedication, so does your business plan and your financial statements. Now, if you are looking to start a business in Canada, the reason why financial statements should be done is important for a few reasons. 1. With proper financial statements, you will be able to determine your business's potential before you launch into the real world. 2. The preparation of financial statements will prepare you for the unexpected and will get you thinking about all of those potentially hidden costs that you may have not expected in the first place. And 3. Proper financial statements will help you plan ahead for needed capital. There are always business expenses popping out which you could always use a little bit of extra money on. So these statements are what will help you determine when and where you will need the funds. As an existing business, perhaps one that is looking to expand and further grow, well, your financial statements paint a different picture in a way, as you may already have them all figured out. Now the goal is to determine if your new added strategy of growth will pan out. The financial statements and future projections will do the trick. With proper statements and projections, you will be able to determine how likely you are to succeed. You will plan out the potential revenue that may come in as an extra for your business from this planned growth and any expenses that you may need to cover. If you are thinking about buying a business, the financial statements are something you want to review as well. They will tell you not only the history of the business you are trying to acquire, but will also prepare you for the future as you can use the financials to plan ahead. As mentioned here, your financial statements are one of the only components of a business plan that have the ability to explain your entire model, simply by looking at numbers on a page. As you develop your financial statements for your business, no matter if it is a new startup or an existing business, it is important to know the different types of statements that are usually looked at by banks, investors, funding agencies, and so on. These include, as shown here, profit and loss statements, cash flow statements, and a balance sheet. In most cases, these statements should be done based on actual figures where possible. But if you don't have them, projecting your figures is often an acceptable practice. Keep in mind that as you prepare your statements, you should always aim for a 3-year plan or more, as it will outline a proper picture and allow your business time to grow in order to be able to show a more accurate representation. The profit and loss statement, if done correctly, will summarize your revenue, your costs, as well as expenses incurred during a specific period. Generally speaking, a profit and loss statement, also referred to as an P&L, is an indicator of a company's health and is often the number one financial statement that most funding agencies or banks want to see to determine your potential to acquire any funding. A cash flow statement, on the other hand, is used to summarize the amount of cash or cash equivalents that are coming in and going out from the business. A properly developed cash flow statement will be used to help provide a detailed picture of what is happening to the business's money during a specific period. In other words, a cash flow statement will tell you what you are spending money on and where money is coming in from. Then we have the balance sheet. A balance sheet is a financial statement that reports your company's assets, liabilities, as well as any equity you hold. The balance sheet is ultimately used to determine and evaluate a business's performance and position. As a small business, the profit and loss statement, your cash flow, and balance sheet are generally what you want to have, but you may also take time to prepare other documents, such as a break-even analysis. As you prepare your financial statements for your business, there really isn't an easy way to determine your revenue potential. The revenue or sales numbers will help formulate the financial statements, including the balance sheet, cash flow, and profit and loss statements. The figures are a must. Revenue figures are basically your money coming into the business. This can happen from donations, sales of a certain product or service. To determine your revenue or sales figures, there are a few ways to go about it, and these ways really depend on you and what information you currently have about your business. The best financial statements and revenue figures will always come from existing, accurate, or proven figures. If you are already in business or are buying a business, no matter how little the history, using existing revenue figures of what you have generated in the past or are currently generating in sales will always paint the best financial position picture for you. But if you are new, just starting out, you may not have these numbers to go off of, and the goal is to help you figure out what you can be making in terms of sales revenue. With the web and such access to information, it is very easy to take some time and determine industry standards or market specifics that can be used to help you determine the potential your business may have in terms of sales revenue. As an example, doing a simple search online as to how much a one-person photography business can make in Toronto, Ontario, gives you a number of results, with sales figures ranging from $25,000 a year to $250,000 a year. Obviously, this depends on many factors, but you have a range to start with and to narrow down further based on many other components. Industry standards can be used and should be used as a reference point. However, it's not always a good idea to estimate your own financial situation exactly as shown via the industry standard. There are many factors to consider in order to apply any industry standards to your own situation. Another method of determining your revenue figures would be to work it all backward and determine your break-even costs. A break-even cost is the point at which your total cost and total revenue are equal, meaning you are not losing money and not gaining any. As an example, if you are selling t-shirts for $50, but your cost is $25, your break-even would be the $25, meaning that you need a minimum of $25 in order to make your money back. This strategy can be used to evaluate all of your business costs, including any of the startup costs, the monthly operating costs, and all, in order to determine how much you are spending in total each month. From there, this figure can be your starting point, as you will know that you need X amount of dollars each month at minimum just to break even. Lastly, you can always guess and estimate your figures based on the assumption. While this isn't always the best, in some cases, this may just work, or at the very least, prepare you to think about your situation. Any guesses of revenue figures should be backed by research and time to analyze the potential. How many customers can you handle in a day? How much do these clients pay you? What are your costs? Can you get that many customers in a day? These are just a few questions to answer as you prepare for this strategy. Much like planning for your revenue projections, your expenses will actually be the ones that determine that potential of success. There are many different business expenses that you may have, from the one-time costs to the ongoing expense to the unexpected costs. Determining your expenses by planning ahead is crucial for business success, and not to mention, can help you determine if you need additional capital before you truly need it. To determine your expense, there are a few ways to go about it. First, you have the ability to use your existing financials. If you have an operational business, you mostly likely are spending money in a few places. Perhaps your rent, utilities, website, your wages, marketing costs, and so on. Using these existing expenses to determine all is the way to go. If, however, you are starting from scratch, you may want to take the time to put down on paper all of the expenses that you assume you will need, one by one. These expenses can be broken down further into the initial startup costs. These costs are the ones that you can't do without in order to start your business. So, answer the questions. What do I need to buy or pay for in order to just be able to start the business? Perhaps some tools, equipment, inventory, marketing. Whatever these startup costs are, list them. Next, think about the day-to-day. What are some of the expenses you will have to pay on an ongoing basis? Each business is different, so your costs may be different from somebody else's. So it is crucial that you take the time to list all possible expenses that you can't do without. And believe me, all businesses have expenses. Everything costs. From the staplers to the pens and pencils, printers, computers, desks, to the website hosting, logo design, your inventory, possible renovations, phone bill, and so on. If you still have a tough time determining your expenses, you may turn to industry standards or do some market research via the web. With such vast information that is available via the web, you can find typical expenses for any type of business by simply doing a simple search online. While it may not be 100% accurate, it is a starting point for you. Lastly, if you use your revenue or sales figures as a starting point, you may work it all backward and determine what you need in terms of expenses in order to be able to achieve those sales numbers. If, for example, you need to have 100 customers a month paying you $100 for your service, you know you will generate $10,000. But what is your cost to get those 100 people? You will need marketing and advertising to attract them. That itself is an expense. Once you have attracted them, you will need to bring them to your website or to your store. Both of these are an expense. Once they are on your website or in your store, you have to have staff converting them. This is a wage cost. Once you accept their payment, you have merchant fees, providing you the ability to accept the credit card, debit payments, and so on. This percentage of the fee is a business expense. After the customer walks away with your product or service, that itself is also a cost, as you had to provide them with a service, which is your time, or a product, which costs to manufacture, or to produce, or even just buy, so you can resell. All these are costs. At the end of the day, financials and financial planning is hard work. It's not easy for everyone to project their business expenses, determine their revenue figures, or even know how to put it all together. If you simply just don't know how, asking for help is nothing to be ashamed about. The Canada Startups experts are always here to help and simplify the process. Via tools such as the Business Plan Builder tool, the process of creating a balance sheet, cash flow statement, and proper financials can be very simple. But if you want to learn more about creating financial statements, take the time to review the next video in our series, as we will be going into more detail on how to project your sales and revenue figures properly.